So, the Chainsaw Man movie is coming out soon in the US. It's pretty exciting, so I figured I'd celebrate by watching this video about how bad Chainsaw Man is. I might have a strange way of celebrating things. But anyways, this video is a review by Triggered Senpai covering all of Chainsaw Man Part 1. So if you haven't read up to chapter 97 in the manga, then check out here, as there will be spoilers for the whole series, especially near the end of this video. But anyways, let's get into the response. So thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more responses and video essays, but let's get into the response.
Chainsaw Man is one of the more overhyped series to come out of Shonen Jump, and to be honest, I didn't even know about the series until an anime was announced for it. I kinda blew it off as a whatever anime, but of course what comes with a new series come with more ignorant ass fans. Chainsaw Man fans were hyping up the series like it was the second coming of Jesus Christ, mainly saying how much better it was compared to Jujutsu Kaisen, even though Jujutsu Kaisen came out first, and you know, most of Chainsaw Man is pretty much a fucking ripoff of Jujutsu Kaisen, but that's neither here or there. And even after reading this manga, I still don't understand how Chainsaw Man is better than Jujutsu Kaisen when Jujutsu Kaisen is a more fleshed out version of Chainsaw Man. But being the curious motherfucker that I am, I went and read those measly ass 97 chapters and I came out pretty disappointed.
Starting off, I don't really get how Jujutsu Kaisen and Chainsaw Man are particularly similar. Other than the fact that they came out around the same time and both are Shonen Jump manga with a slightly darker tone, Jujutsu Kaisen is a more standard battle shonen. And I'm not saying this as an insult. I think JJK is pretty good. It has some fun characters and amazing animation. It's just not really for me. But for whatever reason, I've seen that there's a lot of rivalry between the fan bases of the two series, with Chainsaw Man fans generally being annoying elitist and JJK fans disliking Chainsaw Man's weirdness. And I can't lie, Chainsaw Man is a weird series. Fujimoto is a weird guy. But it's a huge part of the appeal for me. But that the series takes a classic shonen formula, does really strange, sometimes silly things with it, it then makes a series that is all the more engaging and well written because of those weird parts. But anyways, as I go through this video, I'm going to be doing it with the intention of pointing out all the flaws in the arguments. But I also kind of wanted to explain the point of a lot of the aspects of Chainsaw Man's story, as it's easily one of my favorite manga.
I guess I'll start by saying that if you're one of those people that like a fast-paced story with lots of fights, then Chainsaw Man is the series for you. But if you're one of those people that values a well-paced story with depth and consistency with a fleshed-out cast of characters, then Chainsaw Man is not going to be the series for you because Chainsaw Man lacks in all those departments. If I had to sum up the Chainsaw Man manga in one sentence, I would say it's a Michael Bay film turned into a comic book because it's chaotic shit happening all over the place in that manga. And yeah, I get it. That's the whole point of the manga, but that doesn't mean that it makes it good. Creating a chaotic, fast-paced story doesn't allow the author to fully flesh out his cast of characters as well as the world in the story. And most importantly, it can make readers fatigue when they're constantly reading action scene after action scene with very little downtime because the author is constantly in a rush trying to get to the next action sequence.
This is interesting. Honestly, while there are super over-the-top moments in the fights, most of them are pretty quick. And overall, fighting just really isn't the primary focus of the series. It's not about how Denji gets stronger as the series goes on, which is the focus of many fighting shonen. And while the stated goal of the series is supposedly to defeat the Gun Devil, this is both a misdirection from the real villain of Part 1, and not something that Denji, our main character, really cares about. The series is about a bunch of things, but Denji slowly working his way up the hierarchy of needs and connecting with other people is pretty much the main focus for Part 1.
The rest of my issues with Chainsaw Man stems from Denji and Makima as characters, and to be honest, I should probably put every side character who isn't Power, Angel, Aki, or Rize on the list as well, because in most cases, the side characters are either there to be killed off or move the story along. They serve no other purpose other than that. Angel, Power, Aki, and Rize are easily the best characters in the whole series, with Aki taking the #1 spot by a fucking landslide. Aki is the only fleshed out character in the whole series. He's well developed from an emotional and ideal perspective, he has a motive that makes sense and drives the story, and also whenever Aki is getting screen time, I feel like I'm learning more about the world of Chainsaw Man. Angel also has some great moments as a character, and in my opinion, he's the most developed devil in the whole series, thanks to the assistance of Aki.
I think one of the reasons that the character of Aki works so well in Chainsaw Man is because of his dynamic with Denji and Power. Aki has a more standard motivation in a shonen like this, revenge. And so it's really interesting to see his disciplined and focused lifestyle contrast to Denji's unfocused and childish way of living, plus Power's antics that they both have to deal with. So while I could see how Denji's character could be annoying, I think that it's very clear why Denji does what he does. With his incredibly rough backstory, giving context to the fact that before the story he had literally nothing outside of Pochita. So not only is he still only focusing on survival and keeping the luxuries that he's gained as a devil hunter, but he is also incredibly immature as he didn't really have a proper childhood or parental figures to help him mature. Denji may come off as nothing but a horny creep, and he kinda is, but he's also just a kid. And as the series develops and Denji begins to fulfill some of his carnal desires, he ultimately doesn't find the fulfillment that he wants through them. Ultimately, I think the series is about Denji attempting to lead a normal, fulfilled life, but not really knowing how to be fulfilled. So this makes him a foil for Aki, who seemingly could care less about living, as he just wants to kill the gun devil. And the way these two very different characters clash, and ultimately bond over part 1, makes for a very engaging story.
And Rize is a more tolerable version of Denji, as her and Denji have similar backgrounds where they both weren't able to live normal lives because of unfortunate circumstances. Rize also gives a new perspective to Denji's character, pretty much giving Denji the ammunition to develop more as a character. But as the story goes on, it's pretty clear that Denji drops the ball on that shit completely, as in the later chapters you'll see that Denji still chooses to be controlled by Makima and doesn't realize he's fucked up until the very last minute.
I don't think that this makes Denji a poorly written character. In fact, I think the fact that he's not very good at developing and ends up facing brutal consequences for this failure really sets him apart. Though he tries, Denji doesn't overcome a lifetime of trauma in a measly 97 chapters. And as he continues to desire love and acceptance, he seeks it out in the worst places, and he ends up completely ignoring the abuse and control that Makima has over him, and even submits to her completely at his lowest point.
Overall, Rize is just the best written villain in this whole series. She has a backstory that's interesting and adds more information to the world of Chainsaw Man. And she also has some great development moments as a character, which leads to her wanting to meet up with Denji again despite her original mission being to kill Denji and take his heart. She also does some super dope shit in the manga that makes her character really appealing. Also, if you take a good look at her character, she's kind of a ripoff of Toka from Tokyo Ghoul, especially when you start getting into the specifics as far as their affiliations with the coffee shop, them both having demons inside of them both trying to make the main characters come to a realization about some things, them falling in love with the main character, them both looking exactly the fucking same. Like, the similarities are fucking crazy. But even with all that being said, none of these things take away her contributions to the series of Chainsaw Man.
Yes, Rize is cool as hell, but all these comparisons are also pretty much just tropes or surface level appearances. Rize is a femme fatale who initially disguises herself as an innocent love interest for Denji, complete with coffee dates, a love triangle, and a kiss in front of fireworks. I do think that as a whole, Chainsaw Man is aiming to take normal shonen things like devils or demons, a society of good guys who battle them, and power systems, and twist them to show how brutal a society like that could be, and also twist it in order to serve its themes and characters. So I actually think that Rize's stock character traits are part of what makes her so interesting.
Now, as for Denji's character, bruh. This is the part where I start shitting on the characters. Denji's character in a nutshell is a broke ass horny loser who is only motivated to do stuff in exchange for sexual favors. And I'm tired of the Chainsaw Man fanboys trying to make him seem more deeper than what he actually is. Like, wanting to live a normal life is not a deep concept, especially when you take into account how many anime characters went through the same shit as Denji, if not even worse. And hell, they were even handled better than Denji. Naruto, Tanjiro, you don't think they wanted to live a normal life as well? Naruto wanted to become Hokage to force people into acknowledging him. Tanjiro literally risked his life and became a demon slayer just to go out and find a cure for his sister who was caught in the family slaughter. And you don't see no one out here doing a microscopic review on their characters.
Yes, these characters did suffer more, but that doesn't automatically make them more complex. Characters like Tanjiro, Naruto, and basically 90% of shonen protagonists power through extreme difficulty and are exceptionally resilient, often to a superhuman level. This is a trope for a reason. It's very enjoyable to root for a character who just keeps going. It's inspiring and satisfying whenever they have success despite it all. I mean, personally, one of my favorite characters ever is Hinata from Haikyuu, precisely because he's a character like this, but he's also fairly realistic and down to earth. But the fact that these characters handled it better is also what makes Denji interesting, because he's handling this terribly. Denji basically regresses into a survival mindset as the series starts, and though he'll make progress, he regresses just as much as the series goes on. Whenever he first joins the Devil Hunters and finally has a means to fulfill his needs, he does so in the messiest way possible. He's hungry? Well, he just covers bread and all the stuff he can find and eats it. Bread is all he used to have, so now he just seeks out an improved version of this. not really paying attention to what he actually needs from food, or even what foods he might prefer later on, as he doesn't even really have a concept of what good food is beyond just bread, but better. Similarly, in his experience with love and social stuff, he used to have absolutely nobody. But now that he's achieved his dream of hugging a girl, he naturally progresses to other physical things like touching her breasts or having sex, not understanding that the things that he's really missing in his life are the social and romantic connection that comes from relationships like that. Denji can't even begin to conceptualize what he really needs, so he just seeks out the first solution to his problems that he can think of.
Motherfuckers praising Denji for being a breath of fresh air because he's this regular ass dude who wants to live a normal life and have lots of sex is such low hanging fruit that is not even fucking funny, bro. Like, it's some real shallow shit, but I start to realize that as I continue to do this review, all the shallow shit that these motherfuckers praise in Chainsaw Man, whether it's Makima, Denji, or hell this manga entirety, I start to realize that the motherfuckers that praise the shallow shit are shallow themselves. Like, if you was to ask me, I think the only reason why you Chainsaw Man fans sympathize so much with Denji's character is because deep down inside, every time you see Denji's character, you see a mirror reflection of your loser ass selves. Because there's a lot of you motherfuckers out there that are fucking lame. I see the memes of y'all with a Photoshop dog leash on y'all neck, simping over Makima saying y'all want to be her dogs and shit. Y'all over here fucking simping over a 2D drawing in a dress saying she got ass. Like, a lot of you motherfuckers are weirdos just like Denji, and y'all be the same motherfuckers on Twitter trying to get on other people about how to dissect the character. Like, get to know yourselves first before y'all try to dissect the fictional character, because newsflash, these motherfuckers aren't real.
Yeah, some of y'all are weird. At the same time, I don't think that people only like characters who they can closely relate to. Like, I like Batman, but I have exactly 0 things in common with him. Denji is relatable and interesting not just because he's a horny loser, but because of what made him this way, and how he slowly develops and changes, and the fact that he isn't just a horny loser. And yeah, one thing that really does annoy me is how people act like Denji is some sort of sex pest, when he doesn't really do anything weird to anybody. He might be obsessed with sex and women, but everything he does throughout the series is at the very least consensual, and it usually isn't even his idea. He's often pathetic and a loser, but people act like he's an actual predator when he really is just a dumbass teenager who needs a lot of help but doesn't really know what he needs.
Denji through 90% of Chainsaw Man is literally a horny ass loser, a shallow one at that. He has good moments as a character throughout the series, but the good moments are heavily ratioed by the bad moments, which is really infuriating because Denji has moments where he's shown to be a logical character. Like, he has the potential to be a good character, not a great one, but a good one. But he fucks it all up whenever a woman enters his vicinity. Like, his infatuation with Makima completely ruins his character. Like, I understand that he likes her a lot because she was the first person to be nice to him and all this other corny ass shit, but when you acknowledge that the bitch is batshit crazy and you still choose to simp over her, yeah, that discredits everything about your character. And no, it wasn't because Makima made him do it, because I know a lot of you Chainsaw Man fan motherfuckers are gonna be like, oh, Denji was only simping over Makima because Makima made him do it. No, that's not the case at all. Makima didn't have full control over Denji's body until Denji's stupid ass went to that apartment and told Makima that he wanted to become her dog.
I mean, Makima didn't directly make Denji do much of anything, but she manipulated him, played of his attraction to her, built a life for him, and then tore it down piece by piece. This apartment scene is absolute perfection in my opinion. It's Denji's lowest point, and is incredibly tense. As the audience, we know that Makima is evil, but her motivation and plan is hard to understand before this. And so we just watch it all unfold, and then it ends with Power being shot. It's an absolutely insane sequence.
Makima's confusing ass powers, which are still confusing to this fucking day, did not force Denji to act fake woke and peacefully kill a demon so he can preserve the condition of some porno magazines. And that's not the only time he does some sicko shit. This motherfucker fought a big ass demon bat just so he can feel some titties. And once he felt the titties, he was like, nah, I don't like these titties. I like Makima's titties. It's either Makima or nobody. And it's like, oh, okay, so you're broke and picky. Like, that's the worst combination you can be in life.
Okay, this bit is getting a bit repetitive, so I'm gonna wrap up all this talk about Denji's horniness here. Yeah, Denji is extremely selfish and has weird motivations. Due to his life in poverty, he never wastes anything. Not food, not magazines, nothing. And the moment of power is another moment where Denji finally gets what he thought was his life goal, and it doesn't fulfill him. And then he thinks about it, and he decides that the reason that it was so empty was because he only likes Makima. It's a painful scene, as he's so close to understanding that intimacy really only brings meaning in the context of a relationship, but it also leads him to only get more infatuated with Makima, playing right into her hands. There's a reason that Chainsaw Man fans, as annoying and overanalyzing as we may be, talk so much about this stuff. There's a lot to it. I can understand disliking Denji, he can be annoying. I don't think I'd like him at all IRL, nor do I think he's a particularly moral guy, but once again, it's a story. He's a character, and his flaws and personality are fascinating to watch develop over the series, especially at the end of part 1, when he has some victories and defeats Makima. It's not a real end to his arc, but his progress. Honestly, I'm still on the fence for part 2, as it's kinda lost me a little bit recently. So get back to me when it's done.
And I want you Chainsaw Man fans to stop telling me to watch analysis videos on Denji's character so I can understand him better. Like, no bitch, I read Chainsaw Man twice. Why the fuck would I watch another person's video of them telling me something about a character I already know about? Like, what fucking sense does that make? If you have to watch a analysis video on something you just got done reading or watching, then clearly your comprehension levels wasn't present when you was reading or watching that specific thing. Because in most cases, that thing that you're watching the analysis video on was already present to you when you was reading the fucking story. It just takes you to pay attention to the fucking story. Like, I don't think people realize just how easy it is to make an analysis video on YouTube. Like, all you have to do is just Wikipedia the specific thing you're doing the analysis video on and just read that shit into a microphone. You want to learn about Naruto's character? Well, just Google Naruto and go to his fucking Wikipedia page and read that shit into a microphone. There you go. Naruto's character explained in the video.
While it is true that a bunch of analysis videos just regurgitate basic facts about the characters off their Wikipedia page, and I'm not going to act like making a video analysis is some impossible thing to do, the point of a good analysis video, in my opinion, is carefully going through a story. Not only describing what is obviously there, but making connections throughout the story and maybe even in other media. And also, a lot of the times, the person making the video can talk a bit about their own personal experience or something that's connected to the story. Obviously, you don't need to watch a video essay for any anime or game or anything, but sometimes I just want to listen to somebody talk about something that I like while I'm doing the dishes or something. Either way, I personally already deeply enjoyed Chainsaw Man and Denji's character on my first read, and subsequent reads and the occasional video essay have only made me like it more. But if you don't like a series, I don't think some guy yapping about it on YouTube will convince you that it's good. But if you do pay attention, you could maybe understand why other people like it.
Let's talk about Makima. Now, Makima has to be one of the most whatever the fuck anime characters to ever exist. Like, this bitch just pops up out of fucking nowhere all the time and does some crazy shit that'll make the reader be like, holy shit, what the fuck just happened? Like, one minute this bitch is getting shot up on a train, and then the next minute she's doing some weird voodoo shit that's making motherfuckers disappear in the middle of the street. Like, the fuck? Like, one minute this bitch is going on a random ass movie day with Denji so they can talk about how much life and movies suck and shit, and then the next minute this bitch is in the alleyway fucking up Rize. And it's like, bro, this character just pops up out of nowhere and does random shit. Like, the whole point of her character is just to fuck with Denji mentally and make Denji unlock the full power of the Chainsaw Devil. Like, it's some of the most shallow shit I have ever read in a long ass time.
Everything that he lists here not only has explanation, but Makima also does it for a reason, and the main reason was already listed. Makima wants to fight the Chainsaw Devil, and she wants its power. So she manipulates Denji into giving himself up to her and bringing out the true form of the Chainsaw Devil. Makima's powers are all about control. Her agreement with the Japanese government makes her essentially invulnerable and bankrolls her crazy plots. But importantly, Makima's powers are also all about perspective, as she gains the ability to control people and creatures who she personally deems inferior to herself. And personally, I think that's what makes her power set so interesting to me. It's incredibly unique, and it also results in a perfect way for Denji to defeat her, as he exploits her very human flaws and narcissism and how she ignores Denji because she doesn't think he's important.
Her reveal as a villain was complete horseshit, as it was so fucking obvious since chapter 2 that this bitch was up to something, especially when I read that chapter where she got shot in the head and she rose up like the fucking Undertaker and casually went to a ceremony ritual where she just started knocking motherfuckers off and making them disappear in the middle of the street. It was at that point I realized, oh okay, she's like the background villain of the series or some shit. They're being extra secretive about her powers, she's making motherfuckers wear blindfolds, she's over here doing satanic voodoo gang signs and shit. So it's like, oh okay, she's clearly the villain of the series, alright? No need to ask there.
I don't think that she's really a twist villain. Like, maybe technically she is, but there's very heavy hints. I don't think it's supposed to be a huge surprise. She's obviously been doing messed up things since the beginning, and there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't add up. But I still do think that the reveal that she's actually the control devil is a big deal.
It's also obvious as hell that Makima was only using Denji for his chainsaw devil because, surprise surprise, Makima does nothing but show favoritism to Denji throughout the whole series, i.e. filling Denji's hands up with nothing but her titties. And not even that though, Makima literally pops the fuck up out of nowhere just to talk to Denji. Shit, chapter 2 alone is damn near a giveaway. And it's pretty clear that Makima doesn't do a good job in being a good character because the only time Chainsaw Man fans bring her up is when they're talking about her ass. Like, imagine being known more for your ass than your actual character. And it's not even like her ass looks great or anything. Her ass looks like a bent elbow. Like, Chainsaw Man female characters aren't drawn the best. All them bitches look like melted crayons. And then you have all these weird ass motherfuckers out here simping over Makima, talking about she's a great character and shit. Like, no, fuck out of here, bro. If you're acting thirsty as hell over a fucked up drawing, then God forbid you actually see a real naked woman's body. Like, if you guys aren't noticing the trend yet in this video, it's that Chainsaw Man fans are extremely fucking horny. Like, they're horny ass losers, bro. You know the same way they say that you are what you read? Well, that fits this shit perfectly, alright? Because only Chainsaw Man fans will hype up a character because of her ass. Like, only Chainsaw Man fans will try to make a horny broke ass loser like Denji seem more deeper and complex than what he actually is.
This is kind of just a broad generalization. Sure, there are a lot of people who are crazy for Makima, which is very ironic given the story and how Denji's obsession with her basically resulted in every bad thing that happens post chapter 2. But at the same time, Makima is clearly not only liked because she's hot. Her being hot is also a very important part to her character, an aspect which she purposely uses to manipulate Denji and others. It's also worth noting that Denji is far from the only person who she has in the palm of her hands. The control devil is actually very good at controlling people. Aki follows her because he wants to kill the gun devil and she gave him hope that it would be possible. Many of the other devil hunters are also infatuated with her. The Japanese government itself basically bows to her and gives over the very lives of their citizens because they want her on their side. She really has something that everybody wants, and she uses everybody's desire of her to control them and try to fulfill her fantasy to fight the chainsaw devil. She's honestly a really sad character, as she's one unable to create real bonds with others, as she just simply manipulates them in order to reach a goal that is probably pointless. Like most characters in part 1, Makima draws meaning in her life out of chasing a white whale that won't bring her any real satisfaction, instead of pursuing things like connections with other people that can bring some real meaning. And ultimately, Denji is able to defeat her by recognizing that what Makima is searching for is ultimately a pretty sad goal, so he begins to pity her. And he also realizes that Makima never even saw him and was only focused on Vegeta, and by accepting that his desire to have a relationship is impossible, he was able to defeat her in a bloody act of sympathy.
The other issue I have with Chainsaw Man is the lack of story depth. Most of the information we get from the world of Chainsaw Man is touch and go. They tell you about the devil hunters as well as the organization and the devils, but they never give you enough information that will make you feel like you have a full understanding of what's going on in the series. Like in most cases, they'll tell us about something and then they'll just leave it completely. They'll never try to go into depth about it. Like, for example, what the fuck is hell in Chainsaw Man? Like, what makes the hell in Chainsaw Man so special that it allows the devils to be reincarnated on Earth when they get killed in there? Like, is there some type of loophole or some shit we don't know about? Because last time I checked, whenever someone dies and they go to hell, they perish forever in the lake of fire. But for some reason in Chainsaw Man, you can get knocked off any time of the day in hell and you right back on Earth with the homies. Like, how is that possible?
Chainsaw Man purposely withholds information about the public safety devil hunters because 1, it's not that important, and 2, Makima is withholding that information from the characters. Like, a lot of the weird things about the devil hunters are explained whenever you realize that it was just another tool for Makima to get access to more devil powers. Also, how is it weird for devils, which are fictional, to go to a fictional hell that has nothing to do with the Christian hell and then come back? That's just a mechanic of the story. Devils arise because of mankind's fear, and that fear doesn't go away, so it makes sense that the devils would keep coming back. And things like Hells and the Darkness Devil being enigmas are big positives for the story in my opinion. Less is often more in world building, and making the audience imagine that there is much more that they aren't seeing is often more important than meticulously describing the world and exactly how it works. And for a basic example, Star Wars in my opinion works best when the Force is a vague mythical thing, and the galaxy is a vast place that is foreign in many ways to us. Things like mini-chlorians and guidebooks to explain every nonsensical detail about Naboo's core or knob on Darth Vader's suit ironically only make the galaxy feel more artificial and stupid. Hell in Chainsaw Man is strange and imposing. and because of that, it makes the few interactions that we have with it all the more tense and fascinating. I know for a fact that the Darkness Devil panel wouldn't be so iconic if the Darkness Devil started showing up as a weekly villain afterwards. But just the knowledge that something so primal and powerful exists in this universe paints everything else in the story in a different light.
In chapter 74, this motherfucker Angel remembers his whole past after they already stated that devils can't remember anything from their previous lives. The only thing they remember is the roaring engine from the Chainsaw Devil. So like, can they now remember things from their previous lives now? Because all Makima said was that's an order, and then from that point on, Angel started remembering everything about his fucking past. So you're telling me that now Angel was able to remember his whole past because Makima said something at that moment that reminded him of that moment when she told him to reveal his powers? Because if devils are capable of having epiphanies off of remembering things from their previous lives, then that would mean that devils would be capable of remembering things from their previous lives. And it will also go against the rule that the series has set for itself as far as saying that devils aren't capable of remembering anything from their previous lives. And then if it comes out later in part 2 of Chainsaw Man that devils are capable of remembering things from their previous lives, then I would have to ask the question of, okay, how the fuck is that possible? Like, what kept them from remembering their past to previous times? Like, those are just a couple of examples of the lack of depth in Chainsaw Man.
This isn't really a contradiction. The Chainsaw Devil and Dying in Hell are more powerful forces than Makima, so it makes some sense that Makima's victims can get their memory back, as she was likely just keeping those memories hostage, while the Chainsaw Devil completely obliterated the memories of other devils. Also, I think it's misleading to say the series set rules for itself, as what actually happened was a character in the story made the observation that devils can't remember their past lives. Nothing says these characters have to be 100% right. So maybe there is some case of a devil remembering their past, or devils' past lives having an influence on the current one in an unconscious way, but Angel just didn't know about it.
They tell us about the origins of the devils and where they come from, which is hell, but they don't tell us enough about hell itself to make me feel like I have a full understanding of it. Hell, I still don't know what the fuck Puchita is. The only thing I know about Puchita is that his true form is the Chainsaw Devil, and apparently he has the ability to erase devils from existence by consuming them, which has me asking the question, why is Puchita the only devil in the series with that ability? Like, who the fuck is the overseer in hell? Like, usually when you read a depiction of hell, they usually tell you they have a leader named Satan or Lucifer, right? Hell, even in Black Clover, their hell has a leader and his name is Lucifero, and he's the strongest devil in the whole series. In Chainsaw Man, we don't know who the fuck is the leader of all devils. All we know is that there's a hell devil who embodies the fear of hell, and the darkness devil who embodies the fear of darkness. So it's like, okay, who is the leader of all these motherfuckers? Like, who's the king of all devils, or hell, who is just the king of hell? Because whoever the fuck it is, they should have the ability that Puchita has that allows them to erase devils from existence by eating them. Like, where the fuck is the king devil? The devil that's supposed to embody the fear of Satan or Lucifer.
I'm not gonna lie, this complaint is just stupid. Who says this story has to be the same as the others? Why does there have to be a king devil? Is there some sort of king human who commands all of us? I think devils are just kind of a fact of nature in Chainsaw Man, a natural result of humans having fears. Furthermore, would it even be logical for a Satan devil to be the most powerful? I think that the fear of primal things, like darkness and death, are way more powerful than something abstract, like the concept of the evil guy who makes everything bad. So I don't think that a character like that even makes sense for Chainsaw Man as a series.
Like, they tell us that they have devils locked up in the underground where they capture them, but they never tell us the procedures in them trying to keep the devils locked up. Because, you know, devils never tried to break out of their jail cells before, right? They're just very content in being there. You know, considering that they're devils and they want to fuck shit up. But, you know, it doesn't matter because Chainsaw Man doesn't tell us any of these things. They just tell us what's going on and they just keep it fucking going.
It's like the devils are being controlled or something, and that's keeping them from escaping. I don't think that everything in the story has to be explained directly to the audience's face, as you can be expected to reason out some more stuff. Makes it more fun.
Like in Jujutsu Kaisen, they tell us the procedures of them locking up curses and keeping them away.
This is actually a pretty good example. JJK explains locking up curses because it's very important to the story, as the story is all about containing curses. JJK doesn't explain every single thing, just the important stuff, just like Chainsaw Man. It's how most stories work.
But hell, why the fuck am I bringing up Jujutsu Kaisen in the Chainsaw Man video? Because according to my anime list and most anime fans out there, Chainsaw Man is way better than Jujutsu Kaisen. Even though Jujutsu Kaisen is a more in-depth story and an in-depth version of fucking Chainsaw Man, but that's neither here or there. That's blasphemy in the world of Chainsaw Man fans.
And once again, he brings up JJK in this Chainsaw Man review and calls Chainsaw Man a ripoff of it. They started serializing like a month apart, so I don't even think it's really possible for Chainsaw Man to have ripped off JJK to any real extent. But besides that, it really seems like this guy just went into Chainsaw Man angry at his fans and wanting to prove that JJK is better. And like, I fully believe that he prefers Jujutsu Kaisen. That's fine. Still, it's kind of a bad attitude to read a series while hating it because of the discourse around it. In my opinion, people focus way too much on aggravated scores of series on things like My Anime List or Letterboxd or whatever. I guess it's interesting to see how people as a whole think about it, but really, who cares? There's definitely not something worth being angry about. Like, it's just some faceless mass of people who gave an arbitrary number to it. Like, I just do not understand being angry at it. I definitely don't understand being really angry at a fan base for liking something a lot. Cause like, yeah, that's why they're in the fan base. Kind of selection bias.
But for the most part, almost every fight in Chainsaw Man is pretty much the same shit I said, where Denji gets a power boost from drinking blood because he got his ass kicked so much, and him kicking the devil's ass. Like, the worst example of this is the Gun Devil Aki fight versus Denji fight. Like, bro, they hyped up the Gun Devil so much only for him to get one-shotted by Denji. Like, the Gun Devil version of Aki was kicking the shit out of Denji's ass, and next thing you know, here comes a swarm of people surrounding Denji, offering him blood and shit, talking about some, hey, you're our only hope, Chainsaw Man, please save us, we want to live. And it's like, bro, what the fuck is this corny ass Superman shit? Like, this shit is not realistic at all. Like, if you used to see two serial killers fighting each other and one of the serial killers was to get their ass kicked, are you gonna walk up to that serial killer and be like, hey, Mr. Serial Killer, take this new weapon right here, because the other day I saw you fighting another serial killer and you protected me and my son? Like, no, you're not gonna do that shit. Like, that shit is not realistic at all. And the fact that these motherfuckers are just so casual about walking up to a dude with a fucking chainsaw coming out of his forehead is so fucking bullshit.
This complaint makes no sense. Obviously, people would prefer the hero who's been going around killing devils to the devil that literally killed like a billion people 2 different times. Also, I think it's worth saying that the civilians in the Chainsaw Man universe are living very different lives than the average person in the real world. Devil deaths are the leading cause of death, and it's only getting worse every day. Society is literally collapsing in newer chapters. These civilians are completely desensitized to violence, and they are clinging onto the tiny man hope that Chainsaw Man gives them. So it's not surprising that a couple of them would be willing to sacrifice some of their blood for him. Furthermore, I don't think Denji even wins this fight, as it was an unwinnable fight from the beginning, as he's not even really fighting the Gun Devil at this point. He's just fighting off a remnant of it. All Denji is doing is being forced to murder his friend. And comparing this scene to the average shonen fight where the hero yells a bunch and gets stronger is crazy. This isn't a power scaling manga, and I can't even really comprehend what this guy wanted out of Aki and Denji's final fight. Did he want Denji to unlock some new power or come up with some JoJo style strategy to cut his hallucinating friend in half? I don't even think it's really right to call this a fight. This chapter is just straight up a horror scene, and it's incredible.
And don't get me started with the whole fucking Denji going to Makima's house and saying, hey, you know that favor I told you I'll give you if you defeat the Gun Devil? Hey, what wish do you want? And Denji's simp ass, after going through all this shit, saying, you know what? I want to become one of your dogs because I don't want to have to think for myself. Even though this motherfucker has been thinking logically throughout the whole fucking series, why would you have a problem now? But I guess since pussy's in front of you, you just said, nah, fuck all logic. I just want to be near this bitch. Even though you said this bitch is batshit crazy and she treats motherfuckers like shit for no reason and she shouldn't treat no one like that, but still you proceed to simp over this hoe. But fuck it, just whatever the fuck, right?
The point of this scene is that Denji is giving up his dream here. His decisions that he made himself in the past, the goals that he pursued, didn't fulfill him. And they also ended up hurting him and killing Aki. So he finally gives up control over his own life to somebody else, which is his lowest point and his biggest mistake.
Like, bro, they had Denji's dumb ass sneak up on her with a fucking chainsaw. Yes, listen to me clearly. Denji snuck up on Makima, the most OP bitch in this series, with a fucking chainsaw. Do you know how fucking loud a chainsaw is? Like, you're telling me that this OP bitch couldn't hear a chainsaw coming from behind her? Like, bro, she saw her reflection on the fucking chainsaw. That's how much time she had to move the fuck out of the way, but she just stood there. And I already know the Chainsaw Man fans are gonna say, oh, Denji already stated that Makima can only recognize people through her smell. Well, let me correct you on that. What Denji said was an assumption. He said he took a gamble, which means that he wasn't 100% sure that she could only recognize people through her smell, which means that there's still a possibility that she can still recognize people by seeing and hearing them. So get the fuck out of here with that shit.
Yeah, it was a gamble, but he was right though.
But overall, that's my review of Chainsaw Man. If I have to give it a score, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. Now, I do believe Chainsaw Man would be a better anime than it is a manga, because there's a lot of things in the manga that would translate better in the anime, like the fights and the aesthetics. Other than that, Chainsaw Man is just average. Like, it's okay. Like, it's definitely nothing to write home about. And all you fans out there that's overhyping it, especially my anime list, let me tell you right now, you're not doing this series any justice by doing that. Chainsaw Man is just a shallow version of Jujutsu Kaisen, and the fact that there's people out there that actually believe that Chainsaw Man is better is actually blasphemy.
So yeah, he ends the video with some more mentions of my anime list and more Jujutsu Kaisen glazing. Overall, I think the video was kind of fun, and I don't think Triggered Senpai is a dumbass, as he actually has some really good bottom analysis for the parts of the series that he liked, but none of the criticisms really landed for me. Oh yeah, and the reason I just called him this guy throughout this video is because Triggered Senpai is a really stupid channel name, and I didn't want to say that a bunch. But yeah, I'll give this video a solid COD Zombies gameplay out of 10. It's not rage bait, but it's also definitely designed to anger Chainsaw Man fans and provoke angry comments. You know, standard YouTube stuff. But anyways, that's all for the video. You can check out my other response videos for a bad Silksong review and a clinically insane Deltarune review. Or maybe check out my video on Witch Hat Atelier, which is an awesome manga that'll be getting an anime soon, so hopefully that's good. You can also join the channel as a member for early access to future videos and some other cool stuff if you're interested. But thanks for watching. Bye.